Now, they say that these things are, for the most part, true, but if not, at least I will be able to get your 411 and your take on some of this. And on one of the things I got on, it said some quick facts about earthquakes. 15 seismic facts. Number one, earthquakes aren't that deadly after all. As soon as I read that, that completely turned me off because that's BS. Because it went on to say that the real killers are the other natural disasters that often result from the quakes, which are tsunamis, landslides, and avalanches. Well, hello. If it wasn't for the earthquake, the tsunami, the landslide, and avalanche wouldn't have happened. So that makes the earthquake very, very deadly. So I didn't even go on to the other 14 numbers because if they're going to fill me full of that much crap off number one, that one wasn't worth going into. Give me your thoughts on the earthquake and how deadly it is.
The one that just hit Napa. I mean, you look at structural damage to a city, and the thing is, you don't know to what degree the structural damage hits these things. I mean, it's like saying, the actual wind from a hurricane since the Andrew codes have been put in place in Florida, they really don't cause that much damage. It's mostly the storm surge. Well, exactly. Storm surge, a 20-foot storm surge, a lot of people are going to drown. But I tell you what, the one thing about an earthquake is, the last time I saw that one in Napa, they had the thing on CNN, and this is exactly what it was. It was the National Earthquake Center, and they said, seismic earthquake in 3, 2, 1. They had 3 seconds to react. Well, if you get hit by a hurricane, you're an idiot, because you pretty much got about 7 days knowing that thing's coming to get you. I mean, tornado, when conditions are right. I mean, it doesn't take much. And they say there's a tornado warning to go someplace safe. Earthquake, I remember one time I was in that Hyatt Regency downtown in L.A., and in the middle of the night, I heard that I was in one of them towers, and I heard it just creaking. Mm-hmm. It sounded like I was in an old wooden ship. And then I realized, man, this ain't creaking. And that was that Joshua Tree earthquake.
Yeah.
And, I mean, even with my bad knees, I was like on the 20th floor, man. I rifled down those steps and was out of that damn tower in no time.
I ain't got no time for an earthquake, and I'm living up in
None.
California.
Yeah, you're living on the fault line.
Hey, brother, I'm gonna shift gears real quick because I want to get into a couple of things that you and me we have a lot in common in this regard. Here's another Uber fact. It says, short and sweet, the average married couple has sex 58 times per year. I'll go ahead and respond first. 58 times per year just ain't happening for homie here. It's got to be a little bit more frequent, but that's the average married couple. Can you jibe with that, Kevin?
58 times a year. So what is that?
That's 352 days in a year, and that's that's
maybe you're saying once a week.
Yeah, basically once a week.
Well, I think I'd have to throw a penalty flag on that.
Well, I mean, if the average married couple is only having sex 58 times a year, then somebody got to be having an affair because they got to be getting some somewhere. I'm speaking from a guy's standpoint.
The average married couple, the dude's 3.5 and she's 250. there ain't much of an incentive. I think our married couple lives are a little bit more active than than the obese.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm a little different, but I'm just a horny son of a bitch. So 58 times per year, man, that ain't happening. If my wife only wanted to have sex 58 times a year, I'd have to do something about that, and we'll save that for the Unleashed show. Kevin, researchers found a huge decline in happiness 4 years into a marriage. Well, hello.
It actually took 4 years?
Yeah, it took you 4 years to figure out you screwed up.
Wow.
I did this several times. Now, with my current situation, 4 years in, I was happy as a lark and still am. I can't say the same for the other endeavors that I was in, but nonetheless, that's what researchers find. Now, why would this happen, Kevin, in your estimation? You're a smart dude.
I always equate it to the new car smell. Once the new car smell's gone, a lot of people just seem to, But it's, to me, a relationship, I guess because I met my wife before I got in the business and we've been together, so when you meet somebody now, they meet Stone Cold or they meet, Big Sexy. They don't meet us. It's already a preconceived person that they've seen on television or they've got some idea of. Where, my wife fell in love with a muscle-headed bouncer at a strip joint. So she gets kudos for falling in love with the broke dude.
But explain the 4-year dip. What's happening? Like you said, new car smell in the story?
Yeah, I think it's new car smell. I think that,
I can work with that.
I also don't think that humans are monogamous.
Well, I think that there's a large part of it that humans aren't monogamous, especially I've met a bunch of guys, and I can vouch for myself. Back in my younger days, I could have been way more monogamous than I was. But that
Right.
being said, I mean, and then also I think a lot of cats just end up because getting married sounds like a great thing to do, or it is the thing to do, and so hey, they just jump into it, and then all of a sudden, maybe there's that decline 4 years later. So whether the Uber fact is indeed correct. Sometimes people make bad decisions. Hey, let's move on, Kevin. There's a child genius who decided to drop out of college and work at McDonald's because he felt being labeled a genius was a burden.
Well, I hope he's smart enough to move to Seattle where marijuana is legal, and if he does work at McDonald's, the minimum wage is $15. So I hope he thought that baby out.
Kevin, did you know, and this is straight from UberFacts, so you can correct me if you're wrong. You probably have a lot of knowledge in this department. But according to UberFacts, it's possible to pass gas without making noise if you remove the hairs around your anus. I'll
Well,
read
you know what?
that.
Let me just tell you right now that will be my science project because I go get waxed on Thursday.
Dude, you gonna get waxed for Magic Mike?
I got to. Hell, my ass looks like Teen Wolf.
Then not to probe too deeply here.
Please don't probe too deeply.
Okay, Kevin, I can understand that you go get your ass waxed for the Magic Mike movie. It's a great payday. That's a dream gig. But will you have the hairs around your anus removed?
I will. With that,
if you want to come back on a different show and tell us about it, you can.
Yeah, I'll come back. I'll come back and give a play-by-play, but I'll also be able to tell you if I was able to secretly pass gas.
Well, no, I'll tell you what. Next time you come see me, which I probably because we're both going to be in Georgia at the same time. If we go out and get a 12-pack of beer because you're dialed in on your diet and eat a bunch of beans and I ain't hearing you fart, I guess you got your anus waxed.
Exactly.
Well, let's move on down the road and stop talking about Uranus and the planetary system. Hey, Kevin, now here's one for you. Most people are killed by hippos every year than sharks, bears, and lions combined. Because everybody sees the hippo in the zoo, the hippopotamus, and he just look like a big fat sumbitch out there with a big old mouth on him, and he ain't got no sharp teeth. But man, the hippopotamus is a very devastating animal, and I kind of would tend to concur with this because a lot of times people swim out in them lakes and rivers out there where them hippos live, and they get their ass bit up in half.
Yeah, they're basically do the exact same thing that a croc or a gator does, where they grab you and take you underwater and drown you and then eat you. And they do that to crocs. They do that to 15-foot crocs. A hippo will grab a crocodile, take it down and kill it like it's nothing.
Kevin, do you think there should be a warning label for children who play the game Hungry Hungry Hippos?
I think that the sooner that you make these kids aware of just the deadliness of the hippo itself, I think even stuffed hippos should have some kind of warning that that this is a toy, but if you do come across a real one,
to be forewarned is to be forearmed.
Yeah, please exit the water.
All right, enough of that nonsense. Let's move on. Kevin, during World War II, Japan bombed China with fleas that had been infected with the bubonic plague. Once again, during World War II, Japan bombed China with fleas that had been infected with the bubonic plague. Now, Kevin, now my question to you is not to dispute whether they bombed China with the fleas or not, but did they put the fleas in a bomb? Did they outfit the fleas with little bitty parachutes and drop them all left to infest the Chinese population? How did they get the fleas over there?
Maybe they dropped crates of dogs infested with fleas.
No, because the fleas would have been happy staying on the dogs. And I will see. And then, where do you get a bunch of fleas at the flea market? I think that's a fair question. How do you get
And I
that
didn't.
many fleas to enlist in the Japanese army?
They were a powerhouse.
Well, did they have to pass some kind of fitness regimen or physical?
I'm going to have to say BS on that one.
Okay, we're going to call BS on the fact that
I'm going to call BS on that. How could they prove that?
I don't know, dude. That's what I kept going down the UberFact thing, and I was waiting to see that China's allies had dropped in a bunch of flea collars to combat the fleas that had been dropped on them by
Oof.
Japan.
So heart stock was probably strong in the early 40s.
Yeah, heart is strong in the 40s, dropped off later on. Because these days they got all that kind of liquid you put on their back like we do with our dogs. Our dogs don't
Right.
even wear a flea collar, so swig of beer for hearts, times are tough. Dig this one. This kind of makes me lose respect for this particular dinosaur because I'm kind of a dinosaur geek. The chicken is the closest living relative of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now, how can this be, Kevin? The Tyrannosaurus Rex used to be about 40 some odd feet long, be about, I don't know, 15, 18 feet tall, and was a fierce predator. And it might have been a scavenger as well. But I think when they're born, they get some feathers on them, so now the chicken's related to a T-Rex. I don't see how that plays out.
Tell you one thing, man, evolution played some tricks on the old T-Rex.
Well,
I'll tell you one thing, I've ate about 95,000 chickens in the last 6 weeks.
dude, I'm so sick of chicken. I've been eating so much. I think I'm about to start laying eggs. Now, you and I have been on the road a long time in the business of pro wrestling, and when you and I have been eating, we've always kind of argued over the bill. Sometimes you'd snatch it up, sometimes I would snatch it up, and it would be all the way across the table. Sometimes you take a mofo out to dinner, and they get them T-Rex arms, because that's the thing about the T-Rex. T-Rex got them little bitty short arms. Put your elbows on your rib cage, people, while you listen to the Steve Austin show, and see how far you can reach by keeping your elbows on your rib cage. That's a T-Rex arm. That's the person that does not want to pay for the check at dinner, lunch, or breakfast. Am I correct, Kevin?
Yeah, but he will be the only person that orders dessert.
You're right about that. And then have the nerve to get the T-Rex arm.
Yeah, or use the restroom.
Yeah.
How many times you heard this one? Yeah, but $100 to use like $1 to me. It's like, what do you mean that? You know, if my knees weren't so bad, my low back and everything else, don't think I won't bend over and pick up a quarter. I ain't going to get a penny, dime, or nickel, but I'll pick up a quarter. That's only because I can grab, at least like dexterity-wise, and grab that damn thing. But
I got to go with you on this. On a monetary level, I will stoop down to pick up a nickel. And the only reason I'm picking up that penny is because I'm superstitious. I figure it might be the good luck.
Pennies are like, I got a phobia with pennies.
Well, I got a phobia
shiny,
about the dime.
I won't touch it.
Yeah, but the thing about the dime is smaller than the penny. It's worth 10 times more, but it requires more effort because it's smaller. So I might pass up the dime just if I'm in a real lazy mood.
You know, when you're scrolling on the toilet, UberFacts are quite fun.
Hey, man, check it out. Kevin, according to UberFacts, the average person will spend 2 weeks of his or her life kissing. You down with that?
Well, it just depends who you work for. I mean, is it kissing their ass or...
Dude, I don't know. Okay, now going back to the 4 year mark, everything was cool, but hell, man, after 4 years, it's like an act of God to get my wife to kiss me. I can barely get a peck on the cheek. The hell with kissing. But as long as I can get anything else, I'm down. So kissing, it ain't like we spend a whole lot of time just making out over at the crib over at 316 Gimmick Street.
I know that we kiss every morning when we see each other because she's up before I am. And we kiss each other because she goes to bed before I do. She'll come over and I'm using the
Yeah,
TV
but y'all
and
ain't making out. That's what I mean. It ain't like mugging and like when you was in high school and college and stuff. It's a whole different level.
Well, sometimes I might get on the couch just to get a couple kisses in.
Listen, okay, well, since we're talking about kissing, I got another one. Hugging for 20 seconds releases oxytocin, which can cause you to trust someone more. Now, if I hug Jeffrey Dahmer for 20 seconds, I can guarantee you I ain't going to trust that sumbitch as far as I can throw him. So I got to call
Yeah.
BS on that one.
Yeah, my wife's one of them people. Well, my wife can meet somebody in 2 seconds and know whether they're. She's never wrong either. If they're evil, man, my wife we'll meet somebody and I'll say he seemed like a good. She did. Nah, he's a creep and she's weird. 6 months later, they're trying to be swingers with us. And we're like, well, you picked that out, sweetheart.
Hey, Kevin, did you know that it's actually illegal to name your child Ikea in Sweden? And that broke my heart because me and Kristen were thinking about buying a third home in Sweden and having a kid and naming it IKEA. And when I found out that piece of information, the deal was off the table. That was a deal breaker for me.
I think you're also not allowed in America to name your kid Berkshire Hathaway.
Kevin, let's move on down the road. Now here's one. Bumble Bees perform small warm-up exercises before taking flight. Now, this kind of equates back to my little warm-up routine that I started doing before I work out right now. And I have never seen a bumblebee hanging out on the ground doing DDP yoga before it takes flight. Now, it would stand to reason, since this is a low-impact muscle-building workout, that it would make a lot of sense for the bumblebee to do this. I just can't jive with the fact that a bumblebee is going to warm up before he takes flight.
Yeah, though I did, the other day I went by there was 2 bumblebees on a lilac bush. If I wasn't mistaken, I heard one of them say, bang! So I might have been doing some wires, yeah.
Two bumblebees on the lilac. Yeah, but once again, I got a little laundry drying over there in the washing area, and 2 of the toughest human beings talking on the face of the earth, talking about bumblebees on lilac bushes. Kevin, did you know that farts can cause infections to other people if the person farting is naked, but not if they're clothed? I guess that layer of filter, the underwear, would keep the germs from getting up out of that fart. Can you jive with that?
Boy, don't tell my wife that, man. She hates that. I sleep naked, boy. No wonder she's always sick.
But I was just fixing to say, dude, I know ain't no way you Dutch ovening your wife.
Once she falls asleep, man, it's fair game.
Kevin, did you know the Egyptian pyramid workers were paid with beer? 1 gallon per day. Now, when you think about it, dude, that's a hell of a payday.
In that sun, I bet you got a hell of a buzz.
Well, I mean, dude, you're going back to when were the pyramids built? You're a little bit better with history than me. Was that the BC or the AD days? But it don't matter. Man, that was back in the day, man. You could probably get a gallon of gas.
Moses was back in Moses' time.
You could get a gallon of gas for like a cent. Nobody's driving cars anymore. They're riding camels.
Well, I mean, those chariots, they got real good gas mileage.
The chariots were more green than the damn Prius, the Toyota Prius. Hey, dig this. LeBron James makes about $7,700 per shot during each basketball game. So theoretically, if LeBron wanted to give himself a raise, all he got to do is start shooting the ball more. True or false?
I would definitely start launching.
Giving birth is the second most painful thing a human can experience. The first is being burned alive. That is a fact. Giving birth is the second most painful thing a human can experience. The first is being burned alive. I'm going to throw my hat in and name the third most painful thing a human can experience. That's a bad marriage.
Yeah, I mean, bad marriage is pretty bad.
I mean, you ain't never give birth, and you ain't been burned alive yet. You got a good marriage, so I guess you couldn't vouch for any of those.
I watched my wife give birth, and I mean, my wife got in there. It was from the minute her water broke to the minute I was holding my kid was 42 minutes later, and 20 of it was driving to the hospital. I said, man, that's pretty intense. And the doctor looked at me. She said, "Do you want to cut the umbilical cord?"
What'd you say?
I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, well, let's go ahead and do it. I said, oh, on my son? I thought maybe it was like a new job opening or something. No, I cut the umbilical cord and they wrapped them up and handed them to me. And it was just like, I was like, man.
When I was, we were working in New York one night, and my second wife was about to have a baby, and all of a sudden I get a phone call, her water breaks. So she's going to have the baby the next day. So I got on a flight the next morning, flew down. My neighbor picked me up, went down to the hospital in Lithia Springs, wherever it was, walked in, and as soon as I walked in, 5 minutes later, the baby was born. I picked up the baby and gave it his first, gave Cassie her first bottle, and said, "Well, okay, I got to go." Got on an airplane, made it to Pittsburgh, worked Mellon Arena that night.
My wife put on 21 pounds of total body weight through her entire pregnancy.
Mm.
You know, so I mean, basically she had a baby, a placenta, and that was it. So, she gave birth 3 days later. Hell, you couldn't tell she was ever pregnant.
Kevin, did you know about 90% of baby changing tables in public restrooms have tested positive for cocaine? Now, Kevin, I don't know what your stance on cocaine is or not, but a baby in diapers should not be snorting cocaine.
Yeah. And now you wonder why those kids are so loud on the planes. They're all jacked up, wired up.
Brother just said, hey, well, they just want to get their fix.
That's right.
Kevin, if trained correctly, humans can run at a top speed of 40 miles per hour. Today's fastest runner, Usain Bolt, has a top speed of 28 miles per hour. Now, Kevin, if the fastest man in the world is Usain Bolt, and ain't nobody can touch this guy, how are they going to say that a human can top a speed of 40?
I think that goes back to the most painful death. He can run 40 miles an hour while being burned to death.
Because he's trying to, yeah, but see, you got to have the water at the finish line.
Exactly.
Kevin, let's wrap this thing up with a couple more shenanigans. And I think you can speak to this. Women speak about 7,000 words a day. Men average just over 2,000.
Yeah, but you know what? My wife and I, like, she was on the phone yesterday and she was talking to one of her girlfriends, and like the dog just sat and looked at her because she's not a phone person. Like, she don't talk too much. She'll talk to me, you know, she'll talk to my son, but I'd say my wife and I are about pretty much on even keel. Like, we'll sit downstairs and, you know, watch TV for 3 or 4 hours, and I mean, we may have, you know, 75, 80 words we say back and forth. Usually it's just, you know, hey, do you want to kiss? Something like that. But
dude, but
you want to kiss or have sex again?
Men just over 2,000 words. You know, if I'm not doing a podcast or if I'm not on set, it just left to my own devices. I'm like a deaf mute. I don't say a damn word. I don't even talk. So I would be below the national average. I mean, there's a couple times down at the ranch where I might not even get in a couple hundred, you know, and there's also been times when I was in an argument with my wife and I average about 2 words.
Well, I always, one thing I learned early in life, man, is never argue with somebody you're going to try to sleep with at the end of the night. So
yeah, anything could happen. Kevin, did you know that dysania is the state of finding it hard to get out of bed in the morning? You, like me, probably have chronic dysania.
I just thought it was called beat the shit.
Yeah, I just thought it was calling the results of a 15-year career in pro wrestling. You want to call it dysania? I'll call it 15 years of pro wrestling, potato, willy-nilly.
Jeez. We're so beat up. I mean, today I had one of those mornings, man. I just laid there and just was like,
why?
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
Like Jake LaMotta punching the wall in the cell. Why?
Hey, Kevin, let's wrap this up with 3 more. Did you know the word nothing was actually Kevin, let's wrap this up with about 3 more. Did you know the word nothing was actually an Elizabethan slang term for vagina? Now, what is an Elizabethan? I can't even say that. Stacy, leave all that in there. An Elizabethan. Is this a time period, Kevin? You're the big brain
Yes.
here.
Yeah, it's a time period. I guess that's why when you come home and your wife says, "What you been up to?" you say nothing.
I'm gonna go take a shower.
Yeah, we'll take a shower until these underwear wet.
And I guess that only lends itself to, one of the best lines in the movie Cool Hand Luke. Sometimes nothing is a real cool hand.
And nobody can eat 40 eggs.
No, it's 50 eggs. I told a story the other day.
It is 50.
Yeah.
It's 50. You're right. So Scott Hall would beat me for not knowing that.
Oh, God, I
We've
can
said
eat
that
50
a million
eggs. Nobody
times.
can eat 50 eggs. My boy Luke says he can eat 50 eggs. He can eat 50 eggs.
They eat 50 eggs.
Baba Luga, we got a bet. Kevin, drinking a banana milkshake can cure a hangover. Now, I'm saying bull on this. Now, if you make a banana milkshake, put in 2 Vicodin and a Percocet, then you might have something. You might
Yeah,
have
and
a
8
cure
ounces
for
of
a hangover.
vodka.
But then bananas, yeah. 2 shots of vodka and
Yeah, well,
I'm not buying a banana milkshake by itself.
I'd go Mexican food before I'd go banana.
Oh yeah. Because at least you take a dump and it takes your mind off the
Right.
hangover. Kevin, last one. Artificial raspberry flavoring is partially milked from the anal glands of beavers. Artificial raspberry flavoring is partially milked from the anal glands of beavers, and I don't know if the anal glands have been waxed or not, but nonetheless.
See, that was going to be my question. So that way there, I mean, that's the purity is probably. I know that I probably won't have any artificial raspberry flavoring in the near future.
I just threw out half my candy.
I was wondering why I was enjoying that raspberry crest I bought the other day.
Dude, speaking of Crest, I bought some toothpaste the other day, and it was Crest. And each brand these days, whether it's Colgate, Crest, or Ultra, whatever it is, they all got a bunch of different flavors. These days, toothpaste is so damn good, I look forward to brushing my teeth. Sometimes in the middle of the night, if I get hungry, I could go in and get 2 pieces of bread and put some peanut butter on one side and some toothpaste on the other, have a peanut butter and toothpaste sandwich, and accomplish 2 tasks at one time. Get my munchies on and clean my choppers.
And you can always wash it down with an Arctic Blast shot of Listerine.
Artificial raspberry flavored. Hello.
You had me at hello.